This is the Pet Buzz.
This is the Pet Buzz.
And here's the Dynamic Pet Duo.
And our next guest is going to talk about how to protect your dog from dog napping. So joining us today is Tom Sharp, the president and CEO of AKC Reunite, the American Kennel Club's Lost Pet Recovery Service. Tom, welcome to the Pet Buzz today.
Thank you for having me on.
So how common is dog napping?
We would say that it's still rare, but we have seen an uptick in stolen pets in the last couple of years.
So why are people stealing dogs? Are they stealing them for themselves? Are they stealing them for I mean, what's going on?
Great question. And we see a couple of different things happening. One, people steal dogs to resell them, especially it's very easy on social media to, put a dog up on for sale somewhere and just get some cash out of it. Often we hear about people stealing dogs to give a dog to their children because they can't afford to buy the dog that they want. And then sadly, we see a lot of pets stolen during domestic disputes. So it's, one partner takes it from the other and the rightful owner knows where it is, but can't get it back without help from the police or attorneys.
Dr. Fleck, do you remember when Maria told us that her dog was stolen and she ended up getting it back a year later? Someone, with the assistance of her neighbor, she left the dog outside and went fishing in the morning. And she came back and she went in the house and she forgot that she had left the Yorkie outside. Well, a friend of the neighbor came by and said, ooh, a Yorkie took it. And Maria knew, I guess as time went on, that just the way she looked at him, there was something going on. It turned out she ended up one day giving him a ride a year later. He lost his job. And she said, now that I've got you in the car, I want to know where the dog is. And he, with pressure, took her to the house where the dog is. And she knocked on the door. Her dog ran over to her right away. But there were like 10 purebred dogs in this house, probably all stolen.
Oh, my goodness.
And a little boy said, you're breaking into my house. And she said, that's my dog. And he goes, I got to call my mom. She goes, you call whoever. I'm going to call the police. I'm taking my dog. So she took her dog and left. But I mean, that was the craziest story. Remember?
But probably happening more and more frequently.
Right.
Now.
I mean, think about all the other dogs in that house that at one time belonged to somebody.
Tom, what amazes me is in practice with all the new puppies, and I see a ton of them. Most of the time, before, they were adopting them and it was free, maybe the cost of surgery or something. Now, when they go with the backyard breeders or somebody that's not a breeder of purebreds at all, and they're selling dogs for $2,000 and $3,000, now you can see why they're stealing them. It's awful.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people can't afford that, but they still want to, provide that pet to their family. The kids really want a Frenchie. They really want a Yorkie. And unfortunately, people make bad decisions.
Now, are there certain breeds of dog, I guess, more advantageous for dog nappers to steal?
We see a lot of Frenchies, Yorkies, and Shih Tzus are stolen. We also have a lot of what you would expect, Labs, German Shepherd dogs, a lot of Siberian Huskies are reported stolen.
Wow.
But part of that is there's some of the most popular breeds also. So we see higher numbers, we think, just because there's so many more of them out there. But some that we see more of in relation to how many are actually enrolled with us, the Frenchies are way up there, and Yorkies and Shih Tzus. They're small, they're easy to grab and run, like the story you just told about the Yorkie. It's easy to pick one up and put it in your car and drive away real quick. It's not always as easy with a German Shepherd dog or a Lab.
They might bite you.
Yeah.
Question, Dr. Fleck.
So other than shooting the dog walker and stealing the dogs, how else do thieves go about stealing dogs, and what do they do after they steal them?
Yeah, and I just have to acknowledge that case with Lady Gaga's dogs and the dog walker is really extreme and terrible, and we certainly wish the best for the dog walker. I mean, he shouldn't have been put in that situation. Usually what we see are something like the Yorkie story you told earlier, where someone is taking an unattended pet out of a front yard or a backyard. A lot of people will take their, especially little toy dogs who don't run away. They'll put them on the front stoop in the morning and then close the door because it's cold and let them exercise and then open the door in 10 minutes and the dog is gone. And sometimes it's because it was stolen. Someone sees a dog just walking in the front yard and they'll take them. Or they see it left outside all day long, maybe in a fenced-in backyard, and someone will open the fence and take the dog. We see that a lot more than actually like a mugging on the street, which is what happened with Lady Gaga's dogs.
Okay, so we talked about how thieves go about stealing dogs, whether it's out of the front yard or driving around in vans. So I guess I really want our audience to know what's the best way to protect their dogs from dog nappers.
That's a great question. Obviously, we're going to recommend that you microchip the dog. That doesn't keep it from being stolen, but it means if you find your dog, like with your story with the Yorkie again, where the neighbor knew who had it, when you go and confront that person or maybe go with the police, you can have that microchip scanned and prove absolutely it's your dog. It's not just your word against theirs that, hey, that white Bichon is mine. It's not your white Bichon, So microchipping is key. And then as far as prevention goes, using a fenced-in backyard for your dog would be better maybe than an invisible fence or just letting them out where they're sort of loose in the front yard. Obviously, keeping your pets under watch and having a security system. Everybody's got the Nest cameras and the Ring cameras now, where you can keep a watch on what's happening in and around your house. So that doesn't necessarily stop someone, but it would tell you what happened and maybe help you find the pet nappers.
Good advice. Another way to use the Ring.
It really is. Thank you for technology. Advancing
as well as
technology.
locks on the gates. I had to put locks on my gates, but
Good point about the artificial fence. They can. I don't think people are zapped when they come through that fence, do they?
no, because I think they have to wear the
You'd
collar.
have to be wearing the collar, right? So it doesn't
Exactly.
really protect your pet from a dog napper at all. So,
and you can go up and take that collar off and then take the dog.
oh yeah, that too. Sure.
So, it's interesting, Tom. Lady Gaga offered $500,000 reward. I mean, we all can't do that. So do you think offering a large reward is a good idea or a bad idea?
That's a great question. And in her case, again, it was a very extreme case where they know the pets were stolen and it was during a violent felony act. And like you said, she has the resources to do that, and most people do not. We worry about putting rewards out for pets that you're really opening up yourself to scammers. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. And we do hear that if you put a reward out, say $500, then people will call you saying that they have your dog, trying to give you a different dog, or just take your money and string you along. And maybe they have nothing to do with your dog at all. So it can be an effective way to get your dog back, but there's major risks of just getting ripped off and people trying to do a bait and switch, which is really sad.
That makes sense because we had that experience with the own dog.
Yeah, with our dog.
Yeah.
Dog got out, and we put up a reward to somebody who also lost the dog and used the same Facebook page that we did to get it back. And then, just cut the dog's hair. Said the dog was covered in burrs, but he said, well, my mom was in showed dogs. And then I said, well, if your mom showed dogs, you would have known if you wanted to clean up the dog, you just put some conditioner on the burrs. But the dog was an English toy spaniel, and he cut the dog's ears. So the dog was almost not recognizable. So when he brought the dog back
for the reward,
but it helped us get the dog. I spent 3.5 hours walking around. The minute I posted it, in 2 hours, the dog came home.
So in that case, it did work to have a reward. But
it was a hefty reward.
But you already knew where the dog was, essentially. right?
No.
No.
But
Okay.
anyway, I mean, it was a lot of money. So now are people going to go and steal dogs for the money? I mean, you know what I'm saying, Tom? I mean, with 500.
Yeah. Oh, that's a real danger, especially with the $500,000 from Lady Gaga. Are people going to see this as a way to cash in now by stealing celebrity pets? We certainly hope not.
I mean, from what I hear from my sources in LA, people are like freaking out because all those celebrities are always seen, with the smoothie, with the coffee, walking their dogs in the park, even Jimmy Fallon, So people are starting to freak out like, oh my gosh, are people going to like want to run up to me and steal my, or is dog napping going to be a new profession? Make $26,000 a year now stealing dogs. I mean, you just don't know. It's
tax free.
Tax free. It's right. Tax free. It's scary, right?
It is. Now, hopefully, they're going to catch those people and they can go to jail. Because somehow that person who got the reward for getting the dogs back, somehow they got them from the dog nappers, right? So you would think that A is going to lead to B to C, and someone's going to go to jail for a very long time.
That was my next question. What happens to them? Do they go to jail?
Well, as y'all know, probably that stealing a pet in the U.S. as important as they are to our hearts, is considered a property crime in the eyes of the law in most places that I know of. So if it's a dog that's worth, say, $500, that's probably going to be a misdemeanor. But when you get into stealing like these French bulldogs and they're worth $5,000, $10,000 more dollars, you're in felony territory. Not to mention, the violent act and the gunshot. I mean, that takes it to a whole different level. But just regular old pet theft would be seen as a property crime. So depending on the value of the dog and what you can argue in court and anything else that may have been going on with that theft, it's either going to be a misdemeanor or a felony. And felonies, of course, can result in serious jail time.
I mean, all I know is the dog walker's fine. They're still investigating. That woman who found the dogs said she found them tied up in an alley. So I would think the alley had cameras, but who knows? And that the people who committed the crime were driving a white Nissan sedan. Did you hear that? But
I saw that video, that black and white video too. They showed the little white sedan.
Right, from the Ring doorbell, like you mentioned.
Exactly.
That's the guy who ended up saving the dog walker who was about to bleed out on the street. So, I mean, thankfully, I think it was the dog walker's neighborhood. Because Lady Gaga is supposed to be in Italy making a movie. I mean, thank God the dog walker lived in a neighborhood with good neighbors to help. Because as the skirmish happened, one of the dogs, her dog Asia, ran away. Got away, and another neighbor lady picked that dog up while the other neighbor went to go help Ryan Fisher, the dog walker. Just
a bad experience, but unfortunately many people are experiencing that bad experience. Sure. Tom, thanks so much for joining us today. This information is really very helpful.
Invaluable.
It's totally invaluable.
Yeah, just to remind you all, we were talking with Tom Sharp, the president and CEO of AKC Reunite, the American Kennel Club's Lost Pet Prevention Recovery Service. To learn more about Tom Sharp and the AKC Reunite, visit akcreunite.org.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Pet Buzz.